PlayStation. Man, they have so much changes that's happened in 24 hours. It's kind of unreal. Some big, some small. We're going to talk about it, though, man. What's going on, you guys? Gaming out of here. Coming at you with another video. Today, we'll be talking about PlayStation. They've made some internal changes. They have changed some policies. Clearly, they're listening to some feedback. Some. Sometimes they don't listen to nothing, but it does feel like the consumer won in this particular output. First off, let's go into the primary thing that is going on. There's new leadership over there at PlayStation. So let me go ahead and give a breakdown. Herman Holt and this individual was controlling PlayStation for the past few months, and now it's looking like he's going to be the sole CEO of Entertainment Interactive, which is PlayStation. That's what the brand it's under. And a lot of people are kind of like confused on why this is happening. I'm not. For myself, I think this makes perfect sense. Here's what I think. I'm not going to try to pronounce his name because I'm going to butcher it, but I think that the situation with PlayStation got so bad that what they did to be able to make up for it was they're like, look, we're going to go ahead and, we have a lot of bad stuff going on. And, Jim Ryan left not too long ago, and they're like, we're going to put someone else in there so he can like really evaluate what's going on. And then we'll come to the agreement later on whether or not he stays there or we slowly phase out the other person. Now, the good thing is Herman Holtz is not fired or anything like that. He's been kind of demoted. He's pretty much over PlayStation Studios now. I think the equivalent to that would be like Sarah Bond. I don't know. Maybe you guys can put in the comment section below. Maybe Matt Booty. I don't know which one of them he would be equivalent to. He's pretty much doing a lot of the stuff when it comes to the actual CEO. So let's pop over here and look at this. So Sony Interactive announced the appointment of him to the role of president and CEO effective April the 1st. So it's not too far away. Host will continue to serve as CEO of the studio business group and will report to this individual here. First thing, I see a lot of people really excited that, at the helm is Japan again. A lot of people feel PlayStation has went away from Japan in a lot of ways. They've shut down a lot of Japan studios. A lot of people felt like, Hermit Host was kind of like being very favoritism towards the Horizon franchise and wasn't really caring about anything else that wasn't it. I don't know if that's the case or not. I'm just going off of what some of the leadership has said over there, what some of the fans have said. Look, and me personally, I believe that maybe it wasn't entirely this individual's fault. Maybe it was Jim Ryan, or maybe it was a collaboration of the both, but something clearly happened. They clearly messed up, man. Because, they didn't just lose a little bit of money. They lost a sizable amount of money. And when it comes to, PlayStation versus Xbox or, Sony versus Microsoft, the difference between these two scenarios is PlayStation cannot do this like Microsoft could. Microsoft, look, will they like it? No. They could lose this type of money and their shareholders and stockholders would lose they ass. But at the end of the day, Xbox and Microsoft can continue operating without the money that PlayStation lost. But PlayStation doesn't have the amount of reserves that Microsoft has. So, even though I don't think, and I made it very clear, I don't think this means the end of PlayStation by any means of the stretch of the imagination, I do personally feel like it starts to go into this weird area where it's like now PlayStation is not going to just openly greenlight stuff that they would have normally greenlit in the past. This individual that's taking over has been very clear about multi-platform strategy, just like the leadership over at Microsoft. I don't remember, it was like the AFO, but he said similar stuff where he's like, we're going to start publishing on other platforms. And I remember when he first said that, a lot of people was confused on his statements and felt like it was just miscommunication like Xbox normally has. But it turned out to be that was the future of the brand, of the company. Do I think that's the case here? I think when it comes to PlayStation, I think the new CEO is probably going to push day and date PC first. He's going to see how day and date PC goes, and then they'll come back after. Like, here's the thing. Gaming can work if it's not in a corporate structure. The moment you got corporate into the gaming industry is when stuff just started spiraling out of control, because it's art. And sometimes if you want to innovate in art, you got to take risks. And risks is like the biggest no-no when it comes to corporate. And then you throw like, the pandemic that happened, then that's another double whammy. You had all these companies that made all this money off of the pandemic. And then once it came off, instead of, scaling back to what they was originally, because, real life situations, you would look at something like that and say, look, people were legitimately stuck in their houses. We made more money because of the situation. We don't expect to maintain that money afterwards. I've been told by a lot of people in the industry, that's not what the industry did. The industry was like, no, we keeping that money. We don't care what we got to do. We don't care if we got to cancel projects. We don't care if we got to lay off people. We're keeping that money. And that's what you've seen throughout the time. But, what I want to start doing a little bit is like going over some of the people that, try to be a little bit fair that actually are talking about this. So I think the first person we're going to talk about is good old Jacko Johnny. Now, for those of you who don't know, he's a prominent PlayStation person over there at the Weapon Wheel podcast. And he said, thank God Herman got someone over him. That's not Jen Ryan. Jacko's been very vocal about the PlayStation brand to the point where he's been labeled a traitor amongst his own people. Jacko's essentially the PlayStation version of me, where people like to say I'm, Lord Doom and Gloom, and, the only thing I do is report on negative stuff because there's so much negative stuff in the industry. I can't help it. I would love to come on here and talk about stuff all the time. But A, I know some of that content isn't going to be watched. And B, I know that when it comes down to it, I got to be honest. I'm not going to just not cover something because it's going to upset people. I can sit here and I can make a video on, the 33 Expedition game and, the updates to it. And 9 times out of 10, the majority of you ain't going to watch that because it's a turn-based game. So when you're a content creator, you got to give and take, man. You got to figure out what kind of content you want to make that your audience enjoys. And you got to continue making that kind of content. Now, you guys do watch gaming-related stuff. I've proven that with videos in the past. But turn-based, we ain't quite there yet. But let's go to the next person on the list. Kofi. Kofi is a friend of the realm. He's always been a good individual. He says, if you have been following my guy's statement, he's been very pro multi-platform PlayStation 5 PC. So, PlayStation 5 PC, like I said earlier, he's always been very vocal about, we could put stuff in more platforms. And I think there's a good chance he does that. Then let's go to our the good old Jabari. So Jabari has always been one of those anti-PC day and date people. So obviously he's not going to like this change in scenery. A shakeup in arrangement at PlayStation, To be honest, I'm not praising this until I see results. Personally, I don't know what that individual has done for me to be excited about this. Only thing I like is that it's the Japanese leadership, but we shall see, I guess. So, like I said, a lot of people are excited about being in a Japanese leadership. Here's my thing when it comes down to it. We don't know what's going to happen. We don't know why this leadership was made in the logistic of things. What's interesting is, we found that out yesterday, and then today we get this info. New in-game content incentives are coming to PlayStation games on PC. Marvel's Spider-Man 2, Horizon Zero Dawn Remaster, and The Last of Us 2 Remastered, and God of War Ragnarok is to offer in-game content unlocked for users with the PlayStation Network account. I don't know if you guys know this. This is what happened with Helldivers 2. You know, they had a very successful launch at Helldivers 2, and then they just later on in that said, "Look, you're gonna have to sign into PlayStation if you want to continue playing this." And obviously, it was for engagement. They wanted more numbers, but at the same time, I said this back then. I probably have a video on this channel because I make so much content from a week to week basis on gaming in general. I said they should do this. Put some type of info in there where it's like, look, I know you don't want this, and that's fine. It's not necessary, but give them in-game stuff to encourage them. Helldivers, they could have gave you, you know, maybe something from resistance armor or something. There's plenty of ways they could have went about doing that. And I'm glad that they're actually doing it here because this is a better way of doing it. Make it to where you want the PC gamer to link their account for personal growth. Don't do one of these things where you're like, oh, you're just going to do it because guess what? PC gamers, they'll bounce. As far as like PlayStation games coming to Xbox, I think there's a chance that happens. You know, I do think the PC day and date is going to happen first. And then after that duration, they'll probably see exactly, you know, where Xbox as a hardware is at that time. I don't know if we'll be at like next generation or anything like that. And then they'll probably, you know, evaluate if they consider it worth putting on the Xbox at that time. Look, at this point, you're going to put older PlayStation games on Xbox. It would sell. You know, you get Spider-Man in there. I know that's going to sell. Last of Us, God of War, Ragnarok. I know that's going to sell. I don't know how far this new CEO would go with those type of entertaining conversations, and I'm very curious to see what he does. But PlayStation's under new leadership, man. We're going to have to see exactly at the end of all this, what does that mean for PlayStation? I think it's good because clearly they haven't been in the best situation for a long time at this point. But I think we're going to have to see in the long term what his goals are. Is he going to push PlayStation more towards the Xbox centers where, you know, they release everywhere? Or is he going to do what what Xbox did years ago, which just release games day and day on PC? I don't know. We'd have to see. He's made various statements about multi-platform, but it's always been kind of vague, so you can't tell if he's just talking about a particular platform, or is he talking about Switch, or is he talking about everything? I don't know. We'll have to see. What do you guys think? Put in the comment section below. I'm very curious to read your guys' opinion. That's it for the video, guys. If you guys enjoy the video, hit that like button. It's always appreciated. You can always sub to the channel. We make weekly content on here. We cover news. We review games. Right now, I'm reviewing a game that you guys will see in the next couple days on this channel. I hope you guys watch it. But until next time, this is Gaming Addict. I'm out of here. Peace. Oh yeah, follow me on Twitter, Lord Addict ILP. But I appreciate all the support you guys are giving. Have a good one. Peace.